All right, guys, we're going to welcome you guys into the coffee corner. I forgot my iPad. I got to get my iPad, man, because we're going to look into. Well, first, let's touch on the coffee. My coffee's always black. So back in my DoD contracting days, I made the ultimate transition into black coffee, and I just hadn't looked back since. But you know. I used to drink, the coffees with all the sugars, and I'd go with my wife to go get a latte and all that stuff. But it's one of those things where once you transition, it's hard to have it any other way. You just you're looking for that heaviness in that robust, flavor profile. So that's where we've been at, for a good while now. But look, today we're going to. By the way, this is the Major Dickerson blend by Pete's, the dark roast. I got one of the Breville Precision Brewers, and that was great because it could do like the FCA certified, coffee roast, blend time, whatever it is. But it makes a really good cup of coffee. I can say that for sure. And just recently, I bought me a Breville grinder. I don't know the technical term for it, but it's a grinder, coffee grinder. I'm telling you, man, that's opened up the doors to so much, different variations, so many different variations of different coffees. I was I don't know. I almost feel like, I shouldn't be telling you guys this, but I would go get Folgers and I get the Colombian blend and I would swear by it. I tried, grinding my coffee fresh, and then I found out about a website called Trade Coffee, and Trade was cool because I could go on Trade and get it was kind of like a subscription base, and they'd send you different variations of coffee, all Arabica beans, really, detailed flavor profile, according to what you like. Like you let them know like what you like, and they come up with a really detailed flavor profile for you. And that was cool because that really opened up the door to me. So yeah, now it's like, it's fun now, but look, I don't have a stick this morning. I got a good amount of stuff to do today. I already showered, so I don't want to smell like a cigar all day today. I got some stuff I got to take care of. But real quickly, I do want to dive into these adventure touring motorcycles. The other day we went over more of a sports touring motorcycle, upright, standard. It seems like adventure touring motorcycles are kind of lining up, I don't know, in a sense parallel to what they're offering in the sports touring. Adventure touring is lining up with sports touring motorcycles. They're essentially the same with probably some suspension changes and more rugged tires and just a little bit more rugged of a build. One is more street oriented, the other one's more kind of off-road oriented. But honestly, most people, majority of people are going to buy an adventure touring motorcycle just standard touring. But they spiked my interest because it's the riding position that I'm looking for, and this is size and type of bike as far as the position. that I'm looking for. More standard, more upright. I don't have to, you know, squat down real low. You know, it's kind of what I'm looking for. So let's take a minute and we're gonna dive into that segment a little bit. And give me a second though. I gotta go get my iPad and then I'll launch my my screen recording. All right, so screen recording is up. We're gonna start off with the Suzuki. This is the V's from 1050 DE Adventure. I don't really know what that means, but the Suzuki, I'm not, so it's got a cool look. It's a little like, maybe like a little bit retro. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of it or not though. It's kind of I don't know. It just I don't know. It would it be rough for me to say it looks cheap? I feel like it looks a little bit cheap. So I mean, I'm just being real with you. Let's see. 1050, so that's going to be pushing out. Yeah, 1037 cc's. Does it tell you the type of? Okay, 4-stroke. So I don't know. Four-stroke V-twin. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's gonna have like a nice character to the motor. I mean, I like V-twins. 1779. I don't know. You know, let's jump over to the Pan America. This is by Harley Davidson. On the last video I did with the sports tours, I mentioned this, you know, quickly and swiftly. It wasn't, you know, anything crazy, but I did mention this bike. And I mean, that's a pretty motorcycle, but you know, Harley does that. Harley makes pretty motorcycles. I just don't know if I'm gonna call this an adventure motorcycle. You know, like look at the tires. The tires are they're slick. You know, pretty much. I mean, it has an upright position, seating position. I should have put this one in the sports touring category. This is actually, when you think sports touring, this is not a bad one to consider, you know. It's pretty bike, gotta give it to him, you know. Harley makes a pretty bike. 19.9. Yeah. So this category is really popular, you know. So, you know, you're gonna get pricing that's going to be, you know, steeper than most, right? I mean, you know, it's a popular category, so naturally the industry is going to be driven towards pricing people higher on things that are in demand. It's just the world we live in. Yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. So what else we got on this? I'd love to know I'd love to know size of the engine. 150 horsepower. Why are they not telling? I mean, I pull up engine and it doesn't. It says 1250, but by the way, this website is extremely Harley. Like it's it's interesting. 1250 though, that's, yeah, you're throwing out some power, you know. 91 foot-pound of torque. Yeah, so they tell you all the face, that doesn't make any sense. Well, we know it's a 1250, so I mean that's That's a pretty hefty amount of power. And a beautiful bike. I mean, this is, you know, a good, look at that. Oh my gosh. That is, that's nice. Wow. Man, that's a pretty bike, man. Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely, now I'm thinking, yeah, that would have went good with the last video, because that's it's not really an adventure bike. I'm not considering that an adventure bike. Now this next one, this is the Africa Twin. That's about as adventure bike as you're gonna get. It's about as adventure bike as an adventure bike can get. Is the Africa Twin. The Africa Twin is you know, known in the industry to be a legendary adventure bike. They have the ES, and if I can find it, there it is, just the regular standard one. I think they got, yeah, DCT and no DCT, and look at the price, man. For the standard one is $14.79. DCT, you're pretty much going to add you on another $500 to $1,000 for DCT. I can't see that being a, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Not with this kind of a bike. I don't want a DCT with that. That's just me. But then you want to step up to the ES. The ES is going to be like bigger. It should have a bigger fuel tank. It's going to be not a bigger bike, but more. I usually classify one as like a standard, which is going to have a smaller tank and a little bit more agile, you know, less heavy, and then you'll have like the bigger version that's made for like longer excursions. So that's what they're doing here with the ES. The ES 1759 and with DCT 1839. Now you could get the ES no DCT for cheaper. Okay, not, well, 1759. Yeah, for pretty much the same price as the Suzuki. Yeah, I'm going with the Africa Twin way over the Suzuki. That's pretty insane. Now, the Pan America is going to cost more, but Harley has this thing where they just want to charge everybody out of the ass for their motorcycles. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I don't really. I mean, they're beautiful motorcycles, but at this point, it's pretty obvious that you're taking advantage of people. So, the thing with the Africa Twin is that the Africa Twin is going to be your classic adventure riding style. You actually can take it pretty much anywhere you want to take it. Like, look at this dude. Like, granted, he's probably like a professional rider and everything, but I mean, you can go anywhere with this bike, and it's a pretty bike. Like, that's a really nice looking bike. But you know, you would have to have a real particular situation to be like, you know, I want this bike and I want to actually use it for what it's made for. You'd have to live in the right place. You'd have to have the right kind of time, the right family situation. It is a lot that goes into that people don't factor in, I think. Yeah, so it is a beautiful bike, though. It is a beautiful bike. And the Apple CarPlay, you know, I love that feature. I mean, that to me, you know, that's a feature that any bike should have right there. It's that Apple CarPlay. That's a big deal, man. Yeah, I'm not, you know, I don't know who else put that into their infotainment system. But I think that was a good move on Honda. Let's jump over to, and this was featured on the last video, the Multistrada V4. This, I believe, is their adventure iteration of a bike. They have the V2 also, so maybe we'll look at that too. But it's kind of a different class. It's going to be smaller. So yeah, let's just stick to the V4. But the V4, you know, what I think about it, I think that it's amazing, an amazing looking motorcycle, like one of the best in the industry. I can't, so here's where I'm not really throwing the adventure category at this. This bike is look at it and tell me you're gonna take that off-road anywhere. Absolutely not. Like, look how pretty that bike is. I'm not doing that. And it doesn't have any protection on the pipes in the front. I'm sure you can get all that, but you know, no, I'm not doing that with a Multistrada. Like, it's way too beautiful of a bike to do that with. And it's not cheap, so you know, there's that too. Let's see, what else have we got? Because we covered this in the last video. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about the Multistrada before, you know, reference that video. But yeah, this is a legendary bike, beautiful bike. I believe it's 1100. I don't know, reference the last video. And we're gonna jump over here to Beamer, because everybody likes a Beamer. This is the new 1300 GS. The GSs are absolutely legendary. I think they're like the most sold bike in the world, I'm pretty sure. But it's absolutely legendary. It doesn't really get much more legendary than a GS, BMW GS. Now this is the new 1300 iteration, where, you know, the profile had been slimmed down a little bit, and it's, I don't know, I still think that the 1250 was like the bee's knees. Like that was, I'm gonna actually pull it up, that was, to me, the 1250 right here, 1250 Adventure, to me, was the most beautiful GS I've ever seen. It was big, burly, you know, a huge tank, you know. I like that style of the headlight. It's just like, look at that, it's freaking awesome. Yeah, I don't really know much that can compare as far as adventure bikes go. But yeah, I still think that was like the ultimate GS. But for the sake of conversation, we'll go back to, well, actually, let's touch on the 1300 GS Adventure. That's a pretty cool looking bike. I mean, let's be honest with you. Like, I like the way that looks. It's cool looking. I don't like it as much as I liked. I don't like it as much as I like the 1250, but it is cool looking. You know, I just don't like that they got smaller. Like, this is not the bike you make smaller. You know, you don't go out and say, you know, I want a tank, but I want a small tank. Who wants that? Nobody wants that. You know, it doesn't make any sense. All they're doing is just cut material, and they're going to charge you more for it. And it's, you know, margins get larger. It's no secret. It's obvious what's going on. So, not the biggest fan of that, but just to kind of put a hold on everything, right? Like, let's capture what we got, right? We got Suzuki, they outprice themselves. I don't see many people going out here paying $17,799 for Suzuki when you have the Africa Twin. So for me, that's out. Pan America, that is an absolutely stunning motorcycle, beautiful motorcycle. I'm not gonna buy it for adventure touring, but I don't know. There's a lot of, like, you know, the Ducati. I'm not gonna do that with that either. And truth be told, I probably wouldn't do it with the GS just because of the price tag that you pay for the Beamer. You know, yeah, I can't see that. The only bike on this list, honestly, that I would even consider to use for adventure touring would be the Africa Twin, and it would have to be the standard one. That's only going to cost, what was it, like 14 and some change or something like that. Let's see. But can't find it. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yeah, that one was $14.79. So that's the only one I would really actually consider doing that with. And for me, I don't know if that's the type of ride I'm looking for. I'm interested in the this category of motorcycles, but not so much for the adventure touring side of it, more so because they offer the type of comfort I'm going for, right? So, you know, there's also that. The Africa Twin ES, we're gonna leave that here. The Pan America, we're gonna leave. That's steep price, man. Let's leave it here for now. That's a tough one though. Ducati. I mean, we gotta leave it here because we know what I'm looking for, right? Is more of a street-oriented adventure tour, I guess. And the Beamer, yeah, we'll leave it here. I'll put it this way. I'll put the. I think the Beamer might be a little better as the 1300, the standard GS, this time around. Yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll leave that here. So we got the Pan America, we got the Africa Twin, the Ducati Multistrada, and the 1300 GS. Let's dive into the efficiency, right? Like it's kind of like what bang for buck. I don't know, this is a hard category because it's all, everybody's in a frenzy over it. Like, people are going crazy over adventure bikes, so everything's so expensive, so it's really hard for me to go any way outside of the Africa Twin if I'm going for an adventure bike. So here's what I'm going to do for the sake of the category. The Pan America is not an adventure bike, although a beautiful bike. 19.9, pretty expensive bike, but beautiful bike. Take that out. Ducati, I'm not taking that off road. That was one of the top bikes on my last list, but I'm not taking that off road. So for the sake of the category, we're gonna leave that. The Beamer and the Africa Twin. The Beamer, if you want to splurge, if you want a Beamer, you want that experience, right? You want it comes with a certain level of Beamer-ish-osity. But the Africa Twin, is respected across the industry. It's legendary. For me, with respect to the category, I don't know, I'm gonna have to say that the Beamer has to go. The Africa Twin is the way to go for the category. Now, if you want a more road biased bike, the Beamer stays. The Beamer is the one you want. The Beamer's, it's going to probably be more comfortable, and you can take it on more extended trips. But for respect for the category of bikes, the Africa Twin is probably the only true adventure touring bike left on the market, really. Now, if you're talking me, for me, I'm not going to be necessarily off-road or anything like that, but but I am gonna want to go some cool place. I might take like, you know, the occasional gravel road or something like that, if I had a bike like this. But I don't know, it'd be tough. Like the Beamer is gonna offer just a different type of experience, but you know, it's hard to say, you know, I'm gonna pay what, an extra 7-8K just to have a Beamer. I'm not with that, man. You know me, man. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, for me, I'm going with the Africa 21 out of these bikes. I'm going with the Africa 21. Okay. That's what it is, guys. I mean, we can go ahead and wrap this up. Look, man, like, comment, subscribe. Tell me which ones you guys will go with, or give me some ideas to review some other bikes. And it's not only bikes, you know. This is, you know, I'm just kind of chilling and doing what I like to do. You know, I like to dig into stuff online and do research and things of that nature. So I don't know, the next one, you know, I'm still thinking about doing that cruiser video. You know, we'll go through the cruisers. Maybe we'll even do some sports bikes, although that's nowhere near where I want to be on, with anything I want to be on. And then, you know, we'll just keep on going, man. Maybe we'll touch into some grilling, things of that nature. You know, this is all stuff that I just like, right? So, stuff I'm into, stuff I don't mind doing the research, or I do it anyways. So, you know, I might as well just share the experience with you guys and do it with you guys. You know, maybe you guys can give me some input. I can learn from you, you know, the whole nine. So, down in the comments, man, let me know, you know, what you guys think. As far as the bikes go, and any other ideas for the channel, and also like and subscribe. I'll be glad to have you, and I appreciate you guys, the ones that are already here. And yeah, let's grow the channel, man. Let's have some fun together. All right, and this is your guy Wes Alexander. I'm out of here.